Okay. So sorry for the delay. I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about stuff for another video. So just give me 1 second. I know I was supposed to do the Golden Sun one, but I actually want to finish this up because we're actually about to be done with this. So I'll do this, then I will probably go into the Vero one. I'm off for the next 3 days, so I can do Golden Sun tomorrow because again, that's still gonna take me a pretty long time to do. Like we're near the end of the script because we're at the halfway point of the script actually. But I'm not in that much of a rush because I actually have to do stuff with that. All right, let's get the show on the road. So I gotta look a little bit more to the sections I was actually working on. So we don't need to do this. We don't need this. This is gonna be an unbiased analysis of Friday the 13th and how it ties into the narrative right now. So I feel like we did earlier was pretty good with the case studies, so I think we can actually start getting ready to wrap things up. So now we can talk about when power comes back way too late. Thoughts. Power. Why is this a little bit? This sounds a little bit louder. Give me 1 second. That's way louder. That's play Haunting Ground when you don't have Huey. Yeah, it's not fun. A real good example of this is traveling classic RE, like Resident Evil 1, for example, like the original one. You're kind of SOL because zombies take a lot. They don't take a lot to kill in that game at all, but you're kind of undermanned or undergunned for a while until you get like the shotgun. And even that, you got to be very careful how you spend your bullets. Okay. One of my favorite plot Ex Machina with the linear launcher. Damn, look at this. This one oddly specific weapon to kill this oddly specific boss. for the next couple of days during the day off. I'm gonna bang out a lot of things. This is gonna be done. This outline's gonna be done. Tomorrow I'll get started with the script. It's not gonna be that bad. Like this is gonna be a relatively simple video, just like the other horror that I did. I'll work on Golden Sun. That's not gonna be that. I'm saying it's not gonna be that bad, but Soul Sanctum pretty much is just a plot video. So there's nothing too crazy that I have to do. The Vera one, that's gonna be a long one. I can already tell from a mile away that's gonna be a long one. So this whole entire 3-day weekend, I'm just gonna be working. Let me not tie this actually. So, she'll tie-ins. So, at least for Tormented Souls, Tormented. That's about right now. Tormented Souls. Like you get the nail gun pretty fast, but the realization that no matter what you do, you're kind of screwed, regardless, especially with the whole mental horror aspect of it. Because the truth is already devastating. I'm sorry, like I've seen Well, yeah, I'm a horror buff. That the Asian lady in the first Hostel movie offed herself. The one that graphic detail. She had to cut her eyeball out, and she couldn't live with the fact that she's gonna be physically deformed, and so she offed herself into that moving train. I'm like, oh, god damn it. So Caroline, it's Caroline. Yeah, it's Caroline. Hold on, it is Caroline. What? Fuck. Hold on. It is Caroline. Yeah, I'm a dumbass. Sorry about that. Caroline Walker. I knew it was not fucking Catherine. Oh my god. Caroline. Sorry about that. Caroline. Jesus Christ. Caroline Walker. The sassy Canadian. When she told the father, "I'm sorry," I'm like, "Oh my god, it's Steve! Holy shit, it's Steve!" Yeah, sorry about that, Caroline. I don't know why I was writing Catherine before. I thought about it for like, wait a minute, no, her name's Caroline. When Caroline cut out her eyeball just to solve that puzzle, like, holy shit, you're gonna be living like that forever. Holy fuck. But yeah, I apologize. That's on me. This is what happens when I'm rushed. I'm trying to get as much work done as possible during my lunch breaks. So I'm just kind of speed running this, but I shouldn't really be really speed running. But that's on me. I apologize for that. Thank God I caught that. I would have caught it anyways when I go record my footage, but still, yeesh. That's an oof on my end, and I apologize. Okay. Uh, so had doll nemesis. Did that gigantic black doll that was chasing you around? Oh man, I was like, yo, it's Nemesis, let's go. Then we got I mean, hey, it is what it is. She got a good end. She saved her daughter. If you don't get the well, her doll daughter. She saved her doll daughter. Um, so we can echo. We can. I should. I'll add a section for SCP. I just gotta remember how we can tie that in. But at least for Friday the 13th, for people that haven't seen that, Trish, and I quote, since she's the final girl, ends up getting the upper hand on Jason a couple of times during the final chase sequences. But this is just after everybody's just straight up dead. And like I said before, Friday the 13th compared to Halloween is extremely extra in regards to like everything. Holy crap! Like you'll see during my analysis, and I promise I'm gonna be unbiased, but there's only so much I can handle. Like I'm gonna point out like he just goes so like out of the way in regards to like killing people. If I cannot spell right now. Also, tomorrow, Friday the 13th. Go figure. Wait, why did you do that? And I do admit, when I say death, holy shit. The way people die in this movie is just my god. I think one of the weirdest deaths, and I honestly don't think she probably should have died, was the one he just chucked out the window and she landed on the car. I'm like, that would have hurt, but you're not. I think you should have died. Like you landed on the trunk of not the trunk. You landed on the hood of the car. Like he literally grabbed you and tossed you out. Well, not tossed, but just grabbed you and just ricocheted you, not ricocheted, just suddenly pushed you out the window and you fell onto the hood, not the hood, the top of the car. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, that would have hurt, but I don't think probably should have died. But hey, she died. Twins died. As Randy Meeks once said, don't be a hoe. No sex. Those twins were horny as hell. Okay, so I think that's good. So the false savior, when power returns too late. Some horror games give you control late in the game. Open, a choice, an escape, but it feels empty. The damage, emotional, psychological, physical, is irreversible. The power fantasy arrives too late. This reinforces the message. Horror isn't about winning, it's about what you've lost. Tormented Souls, tools arrive, but the truth is already devastating. Alisa, upgrades and weapons become performative as reality breaks. We could echo Friday the 13th as Trish as the final girl gets the upper hand on Jason a few times during the final chase sequence, but only after death surrounds her. Yeah, Trish, to be honest with you, as a final girl was, besides not Carrie, but again, we're not talking about zombie Jason, we're talking about human Jason before he becomes a zombie. Yeah, she held her own, like, definitely held her own against Jason. What more could we add? I mean, I do need to start wrapping this one up, because I think we've covered every base. No. We gotta talk about. Okay, I know. Inescapable. But yeah, I apologize for the Tormented Souls one. Tormented Souls was a one and done for me. I played through it. I beat it. Had a good nostalgia trip and never went back. That's how I usually am with indie. Fortunately, I do like indie games though. But I usually just like one and done, beat it, don't really get the run back. But yes, Caroline. Oh my God, I don't know why I said Catherine. Yeah, Caroline. Caroline Walker, the Canadian MC. It's giving horror that resets. So, games. First played over again. Hmm. Just, you play Resident Evil 1 remake and not save Rebecca or Jill, or save, or not save Barry or Chris, and you'll get that ending. Yeah, it's not over. You got to go back in. You didn't get the best ending. Ooh, Labyrinth. Shout outs to JD. Whatever. The mouse one called Veronica. It's probably JD. Okay, I think we're good. We're gonna go over this one more time just to make sure everything's fine. But I think we've covered all our tracks, all our bases. So I don't need to write a conclusion right now, but I'll get to that later. So let's just look. Okay, so our core premise: horror thrives not simply on death of monsters, but on the slow erosion of player control. Layer disempowerment. Horror games often move in stages: first limited power, then undermining your mental stability and dissolving your sense of reality or self. The purpose of this video is to explore how different horror games trap us by removing our layers of agency. Potential quote: man is not worried by real world problems so much as by his imagined anxieties. Acipitous. Review of structure: SCP containing breach, which is physical powerlessness; Tormented Souls, which is psychological powerlessness; Alisa, which is existential powerlessness. I'll be using Friday the 13th, the final chapter, as my cinema supporting analysis, which is going to be totally unbiased as usual. So, a support section: the face of powerlessness. So, physical powerlessness is the fear of being unable to defend yourself, run, or respond. Instinctive anxiety rooted in physical survival, loss of movement, speed, stamina, or reliable weapons creates tension. Psychological powerlessness, fear of your own mind when memories lie or perception breaks. Games distort timelines, realities, or identities to distort players. Powerlessness becomes internal. You are your own unreliable narrator. Existential powerlessness, the most abstract and terrifying form. Losing control of meaning, fate, or reality. Cosmic horror in a sense. The idea that nothing you do truly matters. Games distill dread by showing players that the world itself is rigged or broken. So the role of player expectations and illusion of agency. Most games teach players that input equals outcome. Horror games subvert this. Power is slowly removed or never granted. Buttons don't save you. Keys don't work. doors don't open. This creates tension between what the player expects, which is empowerment, and what the games allow, helplessness. This builds tension and dread. What if I can't act at all? The emotional spectrum: fear, helplessness, and horror. Fear equals immediate response to danger, enemy encounters, chasings. Helplessness, sustained emotional state of lacking control or influence. Horror, the deeper, more existential dread that remains even after the threat is gone. This builds emotional fatigue that heightens immersion and impact. Try avoiding Mr. X, and he just not want to leave you alone. Yeah, that is emotionally, that is taxing on your mind. Environment as a silent opponent. Level design traps you, tight corridors, locked doors, and narrow vision. Spencer Mansion, pretty much. Architect becomes a weapon. Blind corners, low lighting, and sudden changes. The setting itself is part of the fear, not just where the danger happens, but how it happens. Some spaces don't contain threats, they are the threats. Again, using Spencer Mansion as an example. Sound and sensory deprivation as tools of powerlessness. Muffled noises, off-screen noises, dead silence. All signal loss of awareness. Players are conditioned to rely on sound. When it's disrupted, control vanishes. Music cuts out, heart rate spikes, the door creaks, you freeze. Think of Code Veronica when you're about before you get saved by Steve in the Bandersnatch. And not just that, whenever Claire goes to open the door and she's slow to open it and you hear the heartbeat. Something like that. Audio becomes a manipulator of mood and expectation, often without warning. Players' psychological investment. Why powerlessness hurts. Players internalize their avatar's suffering. When the character suffers, so do we. Powerlessness. When powerlessness feels personal because we expect to do something but we're denied in the process. Or flips that script. You aren't the hero, you're the target. The emotional bond makes disempowerment deeper than just bad game design, which is a common excuse. So, case study 1, SCP containment breach, physical powerlessness. Unpredictable randomized world design means safety never lasts. Players cannot physically defend themselves. Survival is based on movement and luck. SCPs defy logic. Some move when you blink, some distort space and time, others cannot be stopped. Constant state of threat, which forces players into a panic management. Fear is tied to fragility and enforced evasion. So, some horror games disempower you not through action, but through inaction. Inaction by making you always feel watched. In SCP containment breach, the idea becomes mechanical through anomalies that require constant observation or punish you for looking. You aren't just being hunted, you're being monitored. In SCP containment breach, powerlessness doesn't come from being seen, it comes from never knowing when you're not. He points to this. SCP-173 kills you when you blink, safety is tied to looking. SCP-096 kills you if you look, safety is tied to not looking. Lights fail, doors shift. Danger appears without warning, creating a world where surveillance is invincible and asymmetrical. The player feels like a test subject inside a system they cannot comprehend. I didn't want to use 046 or God, because they're overused whenever we talk to SCPs. And every SCP is overused, but I just wanted to use these because, think about it, there's an SCP that kills you when you blink. He just moves whenever you blink. It's like the Doctor Who weeping angels, pretty much. Or 173 will literally chase you down to the end. Oh my god. Who the fuck? Nobody ever asked me to do a Neptunia lore video. Please, for God's sake, no one ever asked me to do it. So the thematical tie-in, you're not alone, you're being observed. Control is illusion, when you don't even know who is watching. This creates institutional horror. You're not escaping. Oops. You are not escaping a monster, you're escaping the system. Case study 2, Tormented Souls, psychological powerlessness. Caroline's loss of memory and trauma are mirrored by bizarre environmental logic. She woke up in a bathtub naked with the deep throat tube in her mouth, missing an eye. Holy fuck. Wow, what an intro. The dual world mirror mechanic disorients players' perception of cause and effect. Medication mutilation themes ties into identity fragmentation, loss of body autonomy. If you hate mutilation or gory shit in general or squeamish, this is not the game for you, because body horror is prevalent in this game. Even though the player is armed, the psychological dread outweighs the safety of being armed. Puzzles serve as a metaphor for resembling a broken mind, but progress brings deeper questions, not answers. So when horror targets the body, it doesn't injure, it violates. Medical horror exploits our primal fear of being operated on, restrained, or altered against our will. Tormented Souls uses this to amplify the player's disempowerment on a visceral level. You don't just survive trauma, you wake up inside of it. The body you control is already broken. The question isn't, can I escape? It's, what did they do to me? Because that's the first thing Caroline notices. Like, who could have done this? Because again, there's a hole, there's no eye. It's just a gigantic hole. And they let you know that her eye is gone. And like, holy fuck. Key points, Caroline wakes up missing an eye with no memory of the procedure. Even though she does it herself to solve that puzzle. The environment is surgical, clinical, and coldly inhuman. Mutilated enemies evoke failed experiments, not creatures. The body is no longer a safe vessel. Thematical tie-in. Horror reframes your body as something that can be taken from you. This removes the last frontier of safety. The self, like yourself. Control over health, movement, and integrity is stripped away. Case Study 3, Alisa, Existential Powerlessness. The game's design evokes PS1 era horror with tank controls and fixed camera angles, making control feel alien. Back in my day, we had to deal with it. Back in my day, the world is populated by uncanny, doll-like enemies. In rooms that defy clear purpose. Powerlessness is created through systematic limitation. You can act, but never enough. Narrative and setting erode understanding, pushing the player deeper into confusion and futility. Horror is defined not from what chases you, but from where you are and what you cannot know. So some games go beyond disempowerment and dissolution. You're not who you thought you were, and the game refuses to let you reclaim it. Alisa uses aesthetics and mechanics to slowly dissolve identity to control appearance and world logic. You're not just playing a character, you're playing a role someone else wrote for you. And the longer you stay in the dollhouse, the harder it is to remember if you were ever real at all. Which is true, because one of the endings has you turn into a doll. Alisa is stylized to fit the image of a doll, more so Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Or, for the Chads, she looks like she belongs in hyperdimension Neptunia. Fixed camera angles reduce player agency and visual autonomy. Every interaction reinforces the idea that Alisa is slowly becoming a puppet and less of a person. The game world feels like a stage set for a performance you didn't agree to. The thematical tie-ins are the scariest moment isn't death, it's realizing that you're slowly losing yourself to madness. If I can spell. Oh my god. Identity is removed layer by layer. Control, voice, memory, and purpose. Alisa becomes an exploration of what it means to be a puppet. So, powerlessness and narrative versus gameplay. Story may show a character breaking down, but gameplay mirrors that breakdown through slow pacing, control loss, and UI distortion. Eternal Darkness. Mechanics are not just functions, they're metaphors. When the story says you're not in control, the game makes you feel lost. Successful horror synchronizes mechanics with narrative to create authentic dread. So, contrast and release. Moments of power within powerlessness. Jesus. Horror games often allow brief empowerment, a new weapon, an open area, temporary clarity. Or when you get a magnum in a Resident Evil game, you're unga bunga. So these moments lull the player and then collapse them back into fear. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got the magnum. Oh, ammo is scarce. Oh shit. Well, it looks like I'm not using it. The cycle control, loss, controls sharpens fear, like breathing before a scream. The worst moment isn't feeling weak; it's realizing your strength doesn't matter. So again, I've been doing lately with these videos. I've been doing a real horror cinema analysis. We won't be using Michael Myers this time. We'll be using Jason Voorhees. So specifically Friday the 13th, the final chapter, which is the last time you see human Jason. So Jason represents the inevitability of death. He doesn't rush, yet always arrives. So he does. Characters are physically limited. Doors break, weapons fail, escape is narrow. Cinematography uses tight spacing, low lighting, and reaction shots to trap both viewers and victims. So if you're not aware of what reaction shots are, it's when the camera pans into your face before the killer kills you, like that. That shock expression. Okay, so Trish and Tommy's sequences mirror a game's final act: cornered, desperate, and reduced to instinct. When she gets Jason's machete and attempts to use it against him, I'm like, oh yeah, the tides have turned. The tides have turned. It directly paralyzes SCP style and forced flight and disorientation. So the false savior, when power returns too late. Some horror games give you control late in the game, a weapon, a choice, an escape, but it feels empty. The damage, emotional, psychological, and physical, is irreversible. The power of fantasy arrives too late. This reinforces the message. Horror isn't about winning, it's about what you've lost. Potential tie-ins. So Tormented Souls, tools arrive, but the truth is already devastating. Alisa, upgrades and weapons become performative as reality breaks. This can echo Friday the 13th, because Trish, as the final girl, gets the upper hand on Jason a few times during the final chase sequences, but only after death surrounds her. As usual, Jason just... It's not even camp counselors this time. He just indiscriminately just kills people in this damn movie. I'm like, wow, the dude, what the fuck? Okay, the inescapable loop. Horror that resets. So many horror games use recursion as a tool. So narrative loops, time resets, and ambiguity in endings. Fear comes from knowing that even survival doesn't mean freedom. It makes the player feel like a lab rat, not a hero. Horror becomes systematic rather than narrative. And after that, that's just the conclusion. So yeah, this is good to go in my honest opinion. Like, we covered a lot of bases. I don't think we need to add any more because everything's been covered for the most part, I believe. So tomorrow I'll start with the script writing for this. My voice is actually starting to get cooked now, so I'll give myself a little break. And if it recovers in time, I'll do some more Vera stuff. But Golden Sun tomorrow, as soon as I get up, then I'll start script writing for this, and I'll continue the Yandere video. I'm off for 3 days, so you're just gonna see me working. Besides that, take care. I'll try to be back in a little bit.